Hey y'all, and welcome to episode 9 of the Unseen Strands podcast, a crochet and fiber arts related podcast where I, your host, Mo, am visually impaired and will be sharing with you strands of my life. I come to you from central Iowa, where I live with my 4 boys, my husband, our 2 cats, and our dog. Today, I'm going to try and record away from the computer since I do have the headset again working. And again, this is not going to follow our normal structure since if you had watched the announcements episode, you would have heard me mention that I was going to the Sticks and Strings retreat. And as this episode is titled, I did attend that over the weekend. And so I will be sharing with you through this episode many of the things from that event and not sharing all my progress and I guess my whips, my foes, and other things like that. And hopefully our next episode will be the finished objects episode where I will share with you all the things that I've finished since it being the end of February and all the cows, or at least many cows, coming to an end. I'm trying to finish up a lot of things right now. So I'm going to try and record this quick and see where I can get. So we'll probably do about a half an hour. I'll try and record during, so it'll probably give me about 10 minutes of actual record time. And then tomorrow maybe I'll try again since, like I said, I am trying to get a bunch of things done before all these cows end. Anyways, yeah, a little bit of life up first. Our lives are really busy at the moment. I know I've only been podcasting for not even the last 6 months, and this being episode 9, obviously I haven't shared a lot of our history with you. But in the last, I guess, we lived in another town for many years, and then about 2 years ago actually, in January, my husband got a huge promotion in his company. He actually worked in a grocery store in their kitchen, and then he went to school and got a network administration degree. And then he got hired on at the corporate office for the same grocery store company to do network administration in the IT field. And so for the last 2 years, we've been down about an hour away from where our original house was. And not that many of you would know, but anyone who would know me in person, he got this new job, and then we found out we were expecting, and we had to buy a new house since I wasn't going to be an hour away from him while expecting. And then by, I think it was 11 weeks, we found out we were having twins. And so then this moving and everything kind of came to a dramatic, everything has to be done right away because we even needed to get a new vehicle because our vehicle at that time only seated 5 passengers and we were going to a family of 6. Well, anyways, speed up and go to today. And we still have our house in the original town we lived in. And back in January, we signed on with a real estate agent. And over the weekend, we got an offer, and it came in originally super, super low, like $15,000 too low. And we did get it bumped up. So now, even though it's still a really low offer, we are getting the money that we wanted to get out of it. So we're happy if it all goes through. We're kind of pessimistic people, and so we kind of live by the law of if it can go wrong, it's probably going to go wrong to us. So we're hoping that this goes through, but it's kind of occupied a lot of my mind space lately. So if I seem a little sidetracked, it's because I'm a little stressed. I like control. So even though my life is normally fairly boring, it's very easy for me I guess, to adjust to that because I know what's happening, and so I have control of it and all this stuff with selling the house. And then we will be buying a new car because even not brand new, but new to us, as the car that we got was what we could afford that would fit 6 people. And now what we would like to get is something that'll last a little longer. Sorry, I'm bling. But anyway, so yeah, we're kind of car shopping, but we need to kind of cool our jets because we need the house to actually get sold first. But I enjoy car shopping and I get a little obsessed with things that I'm doing. So, yeah, my life is a little busy and a little chaotic at the moment. But, anyways, so back to the purpose of this episode is, like I said, we did go to the Sticks and Strings Fiberlicious Yarnable over the weekend. And by we, I do mean me and my husband, as we did get permission for him to be my special companion. That was their wording, not mine. And so he got to attend me, which we did pay for his meal, but other than that, he just basically sat and he brought a book, although I don't know if he read it. He did play his 3DS, which we got a few years ago, and it's a fairly old one. And he was actually amazed that it actually had battery power because he doesn't think he's played it in the last year, and it said it was at 100%, which was just kind of funny. But, anyways, the retreat was at a hotel that's about 2 miles, maybe. Hey Google, how far is the Marriott from here?
The closest West Des Moines Marriott is at 1250 Jordan Creek Parkway, West Des Moines, Kia. It is 1.5 miles away by car.
Okay, so it's 1.5 miles away from here. Little fun fact for you. So, yeah, we had my mother-in-law take the boys, all 4 of them, for Friday night into Saturday, and we were supposed to be getting this huge ice storm slash snowstorm, depending on where you were in the state, on Friday or on Saturday over the day. So she ended up bringing them back pretty much as early as she could because she needed to be able to get back home. The weather here, I don't think we ever got all that super bad because at least by the morning there wasn't really an ice glazing. We did have a dusting of snow, but that was about it. But anyways, so yeah, it was an interesting weekend and I get to enjoy it quite as much as we would have liked to since we did have weather to be worried about. But we still had a really fun weekend, and my husband said if I can't get one of my friends to go with me, because I was trying to get I have 2 friends that are interested in yarn like crafts, and one just had a baby back in November, so she wouldn't be able to come with me this time. And actually, her baby is in the hospital currently. I'm not exactly sure what's wrong with her. She said something about her skin was looking better, but I haven't talked to her, so I do need to get in touch with her. But yeah, so prayers for her little baby, appreciated. And my other friend had a women's retreat for her church, and I'm hoping that's not a yearly thing, although I highly suspect it is probably a yearly thing. So she wasn't able to go with me. So if neither of these girls can be available next year, I think I did get my husband to admit that he will go back again, but I'd probably have to pay for his full admission that time. So we'll just kind of see because it gets a little expensive, but maybe money won't be such a big deal once we sell the house. So let's keep our fingers crossed, everybody. Actually, he even said that it would be fun to do a hotel. And although I totally agree with him, it's just really hard for me to stay in a hotel that is 1.5 miles from my house. There are other retreats around the state, and I'm like, well, maybe we could stay or go to one of those other events, and his mom could watch, get her own hotel room with us, and then she could watch boys, and he could kind of bounce between his mom and the boys and me. So we'll see. Stay tuned. Anyways, back to the Sticks and Strings retreat. We went on Friday night, which was the ending night. I guess they've had that for, they said this is the 11th retreat they've done, and I want to say it's like they didn't have it the first couple of years, so maybe the eighth time they've had a vendor night. So that was kind of interesting to me because I didn't even know this thing existed, and to know that it was going on for so long. Um, but it was a fun time. I really like to support as many of the vendors at these kinds of things. There wasn't a ton at this particular event. I want to say there was under a dozen. So we ended up shopping at three of them. And I need to look up what the alpaca farm was that we ended up buying our yarn from. But the other one we shopped at was Bombshell Dye Works, which I had a lot of trouble deciding on what I was going to get from her shop. And sorry for all the rustling. I'm going to grab what I bought. Even though I know this isn't live video and you can't see it, but it'll help me talk about it if I'm holding it. So yeah, I got this beautiful skein. It is, I don't know if it's koi pond or just koi, but this my husband picked out for his socks, and yes, I am super, super jealous and half kind of don't really want to make him a pair of socks out of it because it's, I don't know if it'll wear out, and he's really, really hard on his socks. I'm more tempted to make me another pair, but do I really need to make me another pair before I make him a pair? Yeah, but he picked out this yarn, so I'm sure I will make it for him. And I really need to decide this sooner than later because this yarn does have 10% cashmere in it, which is why I'm like, do I really want to give it to you? Because I could keep it for myself. With the cashmere, I don't have anything with cashmere in it. Why would you get it first? And now I've totally, I shouldn't have touched it because now I've undone the beautiful twisted job for it. And well, I guess I have a picture of it with our wine glasses, so maybe I'll post that because I just screwed it up. Um, but yeah, so you guys are getting the real me instead of me next to the computer stopping and starting every 10 seconds. Um, but this is cashmere, um, merino, and nylon. I think it's only 10% on two and 10% cashmere, which was why I was like, I really wish it was more like a 25 or 15-10 blend for, yeah, nylon versus cashmere because the 10% already was kind of low. But I am going to have to probably look for a contrasting um, heels and toe for this because this was the problem with the other yarn that I said I was going to make him socks out of was it's 100 grams, and in knitting socks I think I could do it for him. He has large feet, but they're narrow, so I think I could do it. But in crochet, it takes more yarn, and I'm just not 100% sure that it's going to work out. But I told him, he knows it's socks for him. So as much as I'm playing with this and dreaming of things for me, it'll be socks for him, and I'll be starting those either. Well, I have March and April. Again, with the Yarn to Table podcast, Fiber Quest, the March and April is the Land of Goats, and Cashmere is one of the accepted ones. So I am not done spinning, but I have this, so I have something to qualify. So that's awesome. Yeah, so that was my purchase from Bombshell Dye Works. She also had fiber. So I was very torn. And actually she had this koi color in lace weight, which I almost bought because I'm like, I know I can get a pair of socks for him at a lace weight, but it was 100% merino, and I'm like, there's no way. Your hard-on socks, I it's gotta have nylon in it, or it's gonna be a waste of my time. So, yeah. Extra little note, this shop is on Etsy. It is bombshelldyeworks.etsy.com. And she actually lives fairly near to me, so maybe if I decide that I need something, I can actually just go over to her house and pick it up. That was kind of exciting. I didn't realize that they were so nearby, I guess. But I looked at her Etsy shop, and her address, at least the city listed on there, is one that, well, basically, there's a city in between me and that one, but that one is one that we go to fairly often. So just fun little note there. Okay, so anyways, also we went to the Silver Shed, which I know that she has an Etsy shop because she was using the Etsy card reader, and we helped her kind of get that to work right. Another little extra note, it is the Silver Shed USA. If you use the Silver Shed on Etsy, it just brings you up. I think it looks like a jewelry shop that has now closed. So just FYI, make sure you use the USA on the end. And it does actually appear that she's been around for a while, as I was listening to one of the podcasts this week. It was on the Pen, Hook, and Needles podcast, and they actually mentioned getting her bags at Stitches Midwest, I think. I'm not very good with my fiber festivals and things, but I think that's where they said they had gotten them. So I just thought that was interesting because I didn't think from my experience of the little pop-up shop at the retreat that it seemed like she had been selling them in public for super long. It took a few tries, but we did get it. And we actually got 4 bags, even though mine will probably be the only actual progress bag or progress project bag. And yeah, this is my first true project bag. I've never actually owned one. I did win one, but I have not yet received it. So this is my first true project bag. And like I bought my mom one back in November because I didn't really, I've used, the canvas shopping bags and stuff that you get for free. Not super nice, but I usually use a purse. Like my purse, I have a pocket that my yarn that will fit in it goes in. I like to do projects that will fit inside my purse so that I have it. But it's nice to have a dedicated bag. My project bag is lilacs, which is something that is very special to me. We don't actually have lilacs at our new house, but I do plan on planting some at some point. Actually, when I went and looked up the shop on Etsy, I noticed that this shop or this print is one, I'm not sure if she designs them, but she has actually printed it herself. So now that I know that, it's even a little more special. I do love my lilacs. They remind me of my childhood. So there was this bag, and then there was a seahorse, which I'm also all about the ocean and dolphins. But since it wasn't dolphins, I decided to go with the lilacs. And these are a zipper top bag with a detachable um, handle strap, so I could carry this. She actually did have the walking bags that are kind of the round shape, but I need something to hold more stuff because I carry everything that I can with me. And actually, I think I lost my scissors, but I did put my scissors and like 3 different projects in this bag to work on during the retreat for the rest of the time. And then the second bag we got, and I don't have this in hand, so now this is going to be harder for me to talk about, but the second one we got, I only got the one bag for me. The other three are not for me, and two of them are gifts, so they don't count towards bad budgeting, right? That's why I tried to tell my husband anyways. I'm like, I came in under budget, and he's like, you spent $87 at one store, and I'm like, but two of them were gifts and one thing was for you, and technically I called it a gift too. But yeah, so the second bag that we got was a Zelda, um, right? Legend of Zelda bag. Yeah, it's a Legend of Zelda bag, and I think it's a pretty fabric. I was told that it looks really cool, and my husband wanted it. He's like, this looks really cool. And he got Ocarina that's from the video game for Christmas from one of our other friends, and he's like, I can put my ocarina in this. And I'm like, you should. It should so totally be a bag for that. But he used it. He also got a manga book for Christmas. That's a Zelda book, and he was going to put that in it, but that wouldn't fit. So he ended up putting his 3DS in that and carrying for, which it actually has its own case too, but he had that, and what else? I made him take a bag of jelly beans so he had something to munch on, and I really don't know what else he put in it, but that was his bag for the weekend, was his little ocarina, or not ocarina, but Legend of Zelda bag. Then the third bag that we actually got for Jeremy, our oldest son, and my idea, he actually has a birthday coming up in just over a week. His birthday is March 6th, so it's coming up pretty soon here. And my idea is that he can use this bag for spinning because this is actually the one of the larger bags she had. Like the rest of us all got smaller bags. I think my husband's bag was the smallest one. Well, not the smallest, but the smallest zips that weren't just like pouches. His is still a project bag. And then mine's just a little bit bigger, and then the one we got Sam is just a little bit bigger. But Jeremy's is the largest. It's a longer one, and we got him zombies, and we're hoping he can put a spindle, or he can put any of his electronic toys and things in this. My idea is that he can put spinning in it, and then we can hopefully re-engage him into the idea of spinning again. But I don't know. We'll just have to see because he just he gets uninterested without that immediate satisfaction, and I don't know. He's a difficult child. It's very difficult to get him things that he's interested in because he's just interested in sitting on the couch playing his Kindle while watching TV. And it's really annoying and aggravating because he's going to be 11 and he needs to be getting engaged in different things. And then my other son, who is only 7, is into everything. So it's like you have the child you can buy nothing for, and then you have the child that you could buy everything for. So it's so hard to decide on what to buy for the one because you don't want to buy one thing and not buy the other one something to equal it out. So yeah, so then we did get a bag for Sam, which is Batman. There was a Marvel one that I think would have been the same size as a zombie one, but we decided to go with Batman because he likes all superhero things, but he's probably much more of a Batman, and we will hold this till his birthday, which is until August. So hopefully we can probably find something else we can fill in it or do with it so that it's a little more special. But for now, we did get him the bag, and that was all we got from the Silver Shed. And like I said, you can find her on Etsy. And I did like her bag over the other bag maker that they had. I didn't really look super close. The other one had some really nice wallets and things that I almost went back to buy. But I had already, by the time we went through all the shops first, and then we went back to the certain ones that I wanted to go to first. And then since we did spend $87 at the first bag shop, there was only two, I think, bag makers there. And since we did spend so much at the one, I I told myself no, and I didn't go back to the one that had the wallet that I kind of liked, and I probably would have gotten a different fabric anyways, so I might go and see if she has an Etsy shop too, or an online store, and see what else or other kind of fabrics they have. Um, and then the last shop that we went to, and that we actually bought something at, was the one that we got alpaca fiber from. And I know that my crochet along for the land of camelids is almost over, so this won't be for that particular event. But guys, it's alpaca. Adding in another little note, this is from Gray Barn Farm, and I wasn't able to find an actual shop for them, but they do have a Facebook page, so I have linked that down below. Um, I I don't know if I've shared this before or not, but I've been watching the Butterfield's Alpaca podcast, and she's just an alpaca farmer, and she has me totally addicted to alpacas. Like, I didn't know very much about alpacas, and I really should have, because they're kind of a tie to my heritage. Like I've said before, my dad is from Chile, and so yeah, alpacas, Andes Mountains totally go together. So the alpacas remind me of my dad and, my heritage. So I'm addicted to alpaca and touching alpaca and feeling alpaca. I think what I got is like a black, or it could just be a really dark brown. It's natural colored, and actually, I think it was because it was getting to the end of the night, or I don't know exactly the reason, but she gave us not only the 100, I assume this is 100. It turns out the actual hank, I think is the technical term, that I got is 161 grams, while the extra little piece that I will talk about in a moment is 69 grams. So I did actually turn out to get a lot for my money, I believe, with this alpaca yarn. But she also gave us, I should weigh it because I don't know, putting the two together. It's gotta be at least 20 grams, I want to say. It's definitely more than 10 grams of another like partial skein of alpaca. I don't know if this was used for something and this was what was left over, or if this was just kind of her sample laying out that the more ideal thing for people to pet, because we have to pet our yarn. Uh, but yeah, I ended up with not only my 100-gram skein of alpaca, but also this other. I'll have the boys weigh it, and maybe I'll edit it in and tell you exactly how much extra alpaca yarn I got, but I'm totally addicted to it. It's just so special to me. I've told my husband, and he doesn't think me serious, and I've told his dad, and I don't think his dad thinks I'm serious either. But when we inherit part of that land that his dad's on, my goal is to have alpacas. And you all know it here. That's my goal, is to have our own little alpacas and for me to go from the animal to a finished project, all on my own. So someday, I don't plan on this being anytime soon, but say that is my goal, because I'm not against sheep or anything either, but it's that little tie back to my heritage of the alpacas. So yeah, that was Friday night. We went to all the vendors. I did not take any pictures. I didn't know exactly what would be acceptable for me to share picture-wise, so I didn't want to invade any of the artists' privacies or anything. So I decided I wouldn't take live video or pictures during the actual event. When we arrived, the organizer that I had talked to picked us out of the crowd fairly quickly, and she even arranged for us to sit at her table because there were not very many open seats left by the time we got there because Rob did get off work fairly late that day. He ended up getting sucked into doing a project and then, he didn't get to leave on time. And yeah, so we got there and most of what was left at tables was single seats and not two together, and that's what we needed. So yeah, she arranged for us to get two seats, and so we were sitting at like the organizer's table for the first night, which was just kind of funny and awkward, but not as awkward as you would think it would be. But yeah, so at least I felt very welcomed into the land of knitters because this is hosted by the Des Moines Knitters. There was another word in there, but I don't remember what it is right now. But their little club puts on this event, and so yeah, it was mostly knitters. There was a couple people spinning and a few crocheters, but not many of us at all. And actually, I didn't sit at a table for the rest of the time with anyone who crocheted, so it was a fun time. I'm trying to think if we did anything on Friday. We pretty much sat around after we got done shopping. I really took my time shopping. And they did do a prize drawing on Friday with a couple other just kind of, they call them cowbell prizes. They'd ring a bell and then they'd come up with some random question to ask. And whoever had the item they were looking for or the best interpretation won a prize. And so they kind of, I don't even know what most of the prizes were. They were just kind of fun little things. But yeah, that was the first night. So once they got done with the cowbell prizes, we went out to Cheesecake Factory and had some appetizers, and then we came home. And I think I'm going to cut it here for today, and then maybe I'll get in Saturday and Sunday tomorrow because I hear littles. So we'll talk to you later.